It's your boy Domuto. We back with another video today. We're watching What If Human Z Fighters Became Saiyans GT Special by Plus. So shout out to Plus for this. This is the final chapter of this story. Let me know what y'all want me to watch next. I think I got a video about to watch next. Alright, I think I got that. And then just let me know down below what you want me to watch next. Some other ones. And yeah, we're gonna get into it, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. The GT Special. And Lego.
By the time Eren has officially gone from Noseless to looking more like a version of herself from GT rather than the end of Z, and there's already not too much of Goten and Trunks in their updated designs. Not to mention Booty and Kurizu are completely non-canon. So again, it's nice to buy a little extra time to get all that stuff ready. So moving on to the actual story, the timeline obviously needs to diverge back in the Buu saga at the very latest if we want to set up anything like that of GT. So a central change needs to be Majin Buu's ultimate survival and eventual reincarnation. To this end, I believe the easiest way would be to simply toy with whom falls under the Wizard Babidi's control. In the main timeline, these victims would be Ten Shinhan and Prince Vegeta, due to both holding on to a massive negative emotions towards Son Goku and Krillin, even more so towards themselves. With the duo going on to ultimately atone for their lapse in character by wiping out Babidi's prize Majin with a twin final explosion. However, what would have happened had Buu simply persisted and regenerated from even the smallest speck of himself? Or, even more intriguing, if Krillin and Yamcha had also been taken by Babidi due to sharing similar feelings of imposter syndrome as Tien. Since while Tien is certainly the most prideful and earnest as a martial artist, it's not to say that Krillin and Yamcha are not, and that they don't take any pride in themselves as Earthlings, with the latter even being brought up and basically handed the keys of Mr. Saiyan's fame and fortune should he ever want it, making it more than possible that Yamcha could still have some inner turmoil himself about what all he's accomplished. And so, fueled by these negative emotions, our story truly begins as the human-turned Saiyans brawl it out far more fiercely than they would in the mainline events, more than likely leading to a very quick emergence of Majin Buu, and then his concentrated evil, and from there, an even more powerful super form capable of absorbing others, while Goku is forced to reveal the fruits of his and Piccolo's training in the other world. Though here, he really just needs to use Super Saiyan 3 to buy some time, leaving Piccolo to use the remainder of his 24-hour pass to do what he does best in preparing the next generation. As with all their fathers having either fallen, been absorbed, or been knocked out of commission, Goten, Trunks, Booty, Kurizu, and Meren are asked to step up and undergo special training to learn the fusion dance, as Gohan as well is defeated and seemingly killed by Majin Buu, while Yamcha falls in defense of his friends and family on the lookout, since in this verse it's also more than likely that Gohan would have never tapped into his godly abilities to defeat Cell. Regardless, with the birth of fighters like Gotenks and Buuran, Super Buu is pushed to the limits while Goku watches from the other world, and even reunites with both Krillin, whom would have likely fallen to Tien's grudge in this timeline, and Gohan, as the young prodigy hybrid undergoes some more drastic experiences to get back in the fight, as back on Earth, even with a serious Buuran covering for Gotenks' antics, the kids are inevitably defeated, and even forced to fuse in new pairs, creating Truri and Kuritin, only to see themselves absorbed and used as fuel against this new ultimate Gohan. Things appear to be lost, until being given chances to redeem themselves by King Yemma, haloed versions of Tien and Vegeta appear to help hold off the terrifying Buu, buying enough time for their kids to escape with Piccolo, and for two friends to both be revived thanks to the old Kai and Kibito trading away their lives, and be gifted Potara earrings to confront Buu with, as a brand new fused fighter is formed, Gorillin. Thanks to their notable individual strength and extra power they are granted from the two halves of the fusion being lifelong best friends, Super Buu, even with the likes of their friends' powers used against them, cannot stand up against the fusion, seeing him ultimately relieved of his hostages, thanks to the Potara bearer also having the wits of Krillin. Gorillin thinks hard to access the parts of his shared experience with Goku, and remembers a certain technique the Ardratians tried to show him a long time ago, as they then use the Spirit Destructo Disc to separate Buu's pure evil and chaotic soul from his own good, saving their children and friends in the process, their earrings hanging on just long enough for them to obliterate Kid Buu with the Super Kamehameha, as they make a heartfelt wish to see this crazed Jin return as a good guy someday. With wishes being granted to restore all the damage done and erase the trauma from people's hearts, this wish also seems to be fulfilled as well. About 10 years later, as the world has entered a truly unprecedented era of peace, with all our heroes eventually being revived and reunited, and even seeing all of our wish-made Saiyans remaining as such, with Tien's epiphany and lack of comfort gaining power as a Saiyan never really affecting him all that much in this timeline. He just kind of stays content. Also during this time, as they grow, most of the grudges between Vegeta, Tien, Buri, and Trunks settle up, with bygones being allowed to be bygones, as mutual respect has at the very least been built, which, after an experience like the Buu saga, it kinda has to. Though in the process, Buri and Trunks never really developed their crushes on one another out of the puppy love stages, eventually just agreeing to be friends, as the young Briefs boy becomes busy as he's prepared to take control of the Capsule Corp. While Buri is likewise gifted with the role of master of her father's dojo, as he decides to begin traveling and train with Chaozu and even launch again. Both young hybrids eventually finding solace and possibly finding significant others from their career someday. At the same time, Kurizu actually gets what she's always wanted, as puberty seems to awaken Goten to his true Casanova spirit. And before the two know it, they have followed the footsteps of Chi-Chi and Goku and Videl and Gohan, as they go on to quickly tie the knot and form a passionate union.
Damn.
Meanwhile, the Z Fighters finally set up together again at a martial arts tournament, only for Goku to drop the bombshell of Boo's reincarnation, even going so far as to snub his friends by getting good Boo to rig the brackets to give him a shot at the guy.
Alright, you had this for 10. Look, y'all didn't have to do this for 10. You did not have to do this for 10. I get it, nigga. Everybody should be saying 3. Whatever.
Though this isn't too easy for him, as he does find himself very impressed when the likes of Vegeta, Tien, and Krillin all reveal they too have broken the barrier to Super Saiyan 3, even if it did take them a long time with living bodies. Pinning a match to test the power of this oob, Goku subsequently decides to go off on another adventure, this time with the goal of training up this boy. However, with lots of his friends being both fellow Saiyans whom also have human sensibilities, they don't accept this, often butting their way into the training, and even helping to teach oob and sparring with he and Goku from time to time. With this becoming so routine that by the time another 5 or so years have passed and Goku conducts his final exam with Oob, it isn't very surprising that Krillin has joined them, with the monk being eager to use this chance to see if after all this time he has surpassed the power he displayed as a part of Gorilla. This ruckus, however, leaves an opening for 3 familiar and long relevant ne'er-do-wells to make a move on a secret set of Black Star Dragon Balls, almost succeeding in a more sinister wish if not for Krillin and Goku's interruption, which sees a poorly worded Rebuking activate the massive red Shinron of the sky to turn the two men back into very young children, with the duo still being more than enough to easily drive them off, only to be informed that they now only have a year to retrieve the ball scattered across the universe, or planet Earth will explode. And so, a scramble begins to form a team of adventurers to accompany the now young Goku and Krillin to the stars. However, options dwindle down fast, as great options like Boo are too unreliable, while Oob is eager to get back home and spend time with family relaxing after so much training. Piccolo desires to stay and keep an eye on things here just in case, while the likes of Gohan is busy with work and his own family, as it's more than likely that this version of Pan could already have a younger sibling, one that could even keep most of her attention off interfering with the space mission. Kurizu revealing that her and Goten are expecting shuts them both down as options as well, though as they are now true brothers-in-law, and feeling nostalgic seeing his little buddy like this, Yamcha decides to fill in their spot while Buri is surprisingly willing to go, but is actually asked to stay by her dad for the sake of her students, taking it upon himself to join the crew and round it out. With these two good options to back them up, Vegeta actually doesn't feel himself all too necessary, nor does he decide to force either Trunks or Bulma into helping, deciding instead to take Piccolo's lead and hang back for the sake of watching over Earth just in case. So yes, like in the original GT, almost all the hybrid Saiyans have seemingly lost all interest in fighting, training, or even their own strength while enjoying peacetime. But it's really not too big an issue because this group, they are literally old school, and even with the hiccup of Goku and Krillin's age regression, they all still work pretty perfectly together, seeing them coast across their grand tour with relative ease through most challenges like the Hitman Legic, easily defeating and tracking down the boss of the Power Brothers, defeating Muchi Muchi, Lord Lute, and finding their way to Planet M2, where they easily take down the Sigma Force, discovering an eerily familiar yet weirdly blue evil scientist in the process who activates a parasitic life form by the name of Baby, whom sneakily hitches a ride with our heroes as they retrieve the final Black Star Dragon Ball, and then return home, only for this new evil to make its move, by taking over Tien and spreading from there, even going on to abuse his hive mind to cheat for more power through attaining a wild fusion of Uzaru and Super Saiyan. At the same time, this threat is still taken down as we are most familiar, with Goku as the pioneer he is discovering a brand new Super Saiyan with the help of the Kais, going on to save Tien and the rest of his friends as Baby is obliterated. Dr. Mu's evil is not done, however, as upon his destruction and meeting his kindred spirit Dr. Gero in Hell, the duo come up with another scheme, their shared hatred and cunning somehow allowing Super 17 to endure and make an appearance in this alternate take on GT, despite my dislike of him. However, here I do think this story could work a bit better, as the concept of duality.
I didn't realize how short this arc was.
Since remember, he never really got a chance to run wild before he was forced into the straight and narrow, so it just kind of makes a little more sense. Plus, he never really made a totally satisfying life for himself as his sister did, so I commit so hard to going good completely. I mean, if Tien and Yamcha and Vegeta and the others are gonna do it all the time, then why not him? This culminates in the Good 17 and Hellfighter 17 eventually fusing to form Super 17, taking on his friends and family, and even tricking Goku to steal his Super Saiyan 4 power and beef himself up, truly claiming the title of Ultimate Fighter in life form. But in response to this, as well as 18 and Marin's tears, Krillin attains his own Super Saiyan 4 state. But even this is not enough to defeat Super 17. With Krillin revealing his true goal, always having been to simply force all the hatred 17 had built up released on him as they clash a final time, reminding him of their status as brothers, even if by just marriage, and what it meant to him. But before the monk can get through to the Good in 17, the Hellfighter takes over, giving a stark sign that the evil in him needs to be driven out, as Marin and 18 join up with their father and husband to help him in one last all-out fight with Super 17. Seeing them as a family, able to separate the two halves once again, where Piccolo and surprisingly Master Roshi are able to come in clutch by sealing the evil half with double Mafuba, allowing 17 to eventually apologize for his own lapse in judgment. But upon trying to use the Dragon Balls to fix the damage this has caused, a startling discovery is made, as Shenron takes on a new dark form, caused by all the negative emotion poured into him over all the years from selfish wishes and overuse, scattering a league of evil shadow dragons to the wind whom all must be defeated. This once again sets our heroes in motion, but with this being a terrestrial threat and their absolutely insane and stacked numbers, finding and defeating the individual dragons is fairly easy, especially when both Vegeta and Tien reveal they too have unlocked the secrets of Super Saiyan 4, leaving Yamcha to contemplate how to do so himself, as he's already been able to regrow his tail thanks to Pizza and his son, and begins to reason there might be some kind of mental block there. But the scarred Saiyan must cope without long to dwell on this topic, however, as the final dragon reveals itself and absorbs the others, forming the worst and most dangerous threat they've dealt with thus far, and the negative energy spewing Omega Shenron. Even with all their power and numbers, the evil dragon is too much, forcing our heroes to rely on gimmicks like fusion again, as even Tien and Vegeta in a wild twist of fate swallow their prides and decide to form a fighter known as Tangita, while Goku and Krillin are more than happy to bring about the return of Gorillin. Though formed through the fusion dance, this fighter instead prefers Krillku. This proves to be the right move, with the power of both Super Saiyan 4 level fusions overwhelming Omega, as Yamcha aids by leading the rest of their forces in a coordinated assault. But in turn, the fused fighters only burn themselves out rather quickly, which leaves them all very open to the massive negative energy supernova made by Omega, which threatens to swallow up and destroy the now tired and diffused Saiyans. However, Yamcha, as he is always, is willing to take one for the team, intercepting this technique and seemingly being consumed by it, as Omega then gleefully tells them all to say goodbye while preparing a final assault to reunite them with their fallen friend. But Yamcha is not gone, revealing himself by bursting from the ground beneath Omega's feet and trapping him in a negative energy wolf hurricane, as bathing in the negative power the evil dragon let off seemed to awaken Yamcha's own form of Super Saiyan, one which seems to thrive off the energy of anti-ki and evil. And so with this power all his own, it allows him to take on and more importantly hold down Omega rather effectively, with Yamcha from there taking charge in order to get everyone to rally around him while they gamble on the Spirit Bomb as their last resort. This final desperate play just being enough to purify and exercise Omega Shenron to eliminate his threat and return peace finally, thanks to Yamcha in the end having greater love and mercy than wrath, as his kindness and selflessness sees him granted safe passage from the pure good of the Spirit Bomb, with it simply crashing down around him harmlessly, only taking the evil dragon and negative energy away with it, and leaving to reveal the scarred Saiyan hero just fine, allowing him to revel with his comrades in the end. With the most happy twist here being that due to all their numbers and power, it's more than likely Shenron could be given the power he needs to leave the mortal realm and regain his strength temporarily with no one needing to actually accompany him, meaning all our heroes as we know them will be able to grow old and die together in peace, while their children and descendants go on to shape the untold future of the Dragon World. Some even going off into the emptiness of space for final battles to cap off their rivalries, resulting in clashes that will light up and shine through the universe for all eternity, in this alternate timeline where the human Z-Fighters became Saiyans. But this is where this grand tour...
That was stupid. That was stupid. That was the worst chapter, I ain't gonna lie. But nah. Shout out to Plus for this video, man. This was fire. Fire. Like I said, the actual story, the main Z story was fire. The GT was cool. Like I said, the Super Saiyan 4 shit was throwing me off. Anyway, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Check out the last chapter, the finale right here. Check out another video you might like right here. Let me know what you want me to watch next, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.